Hey everyone, welcome to day 39, and today we'll be wrapping up the Netflix clone. We'll work on the profile management functionality, and we'll see how the user can select any one of the profiles once the user has logged in, and we'll work on the functionality around that. Okay, so let's get started with today's lesson. So what we will do is we'll create uh, a way by which we can handle all the different profiles. Okay, and what we will do is once the user has logged in, we will show them the profiles page, and we'll manage the profiles using the local storage. So we'll add all the profiles in the local storage. Okay, so let's get started with that. So what we will do is we'll create a new component or a new context provider. So we'll call that as profiles context.tsx, and we'll just create this right now. Let's call this as profiles provider. Okay, just give me a second. Let me zoom this for you guys. All right. So let's create a type for this. So type profiles context type, and this will have all the profiles of the user. So we'll create a new type for that as well. So over here, let's create a new type, user profile. Okay, and this will have a ID which is going to be string, then image URL which is also going to be a string, and we will have the name associated with the profile. Okay, so these are the things that we want to have. All right, and so this is going to be of this type, and let's export this as well. Export, and here we will say user profile, and this is going to be an array, and also we will have uh, the currently loaded profile ID. So current, or rather let's call this as selected profile ID, and this is going to be string. Okay, all right. Just give me a second. There is, I think I've zoomed it a bit too much. Zoom out. Okay, let me just close this once and restart this. Localhost 5173. All right. Then the other thing that we want to do is let's create a context for this. So const profile context equals create context, and there's going to be this is going to be of the profiles context. Sorry, yeah, this is going to be of profile context type, and initially we'll set this to null. And let's create another context for the we'll be using a reducer to manage the updates to the profile, such as adding a new profile, removing a profile, and so on. So for that also we will create a context. So profile updates, sorry, profile dispatch context equals create context, and we'll give this a type in just a bit. Okay, and let's create so this is our provider, and here what we will do is this will be accepting children. The type of the children is react element. All right, and what we will do is over here we will create a function which will get the user's profile from the local storage. So let's create a function which does that. So function get profiles, and let's create a const over here, const uh, local storage key equals profiles. Okay, and here we will do return new map. We'll use the map object uh, to handle the profiles. So for each each user which is logging in, we'll use the email ID as the key, and all the different profiles that they have, we'll store that as the value. Okay, so this is going to be a new map, and this is going to have this value json.parse, and we will say local storage dot get item, and we will pass the local storage key, and whatever this returns, right, uh, if this is there, otherwise we'll return an empty array like this, and we will, yeah, so this is what we will do. All right, because in local storage you only get the key is string and the value is also a string, right? And if there's no value, we're returning this. All right, and let's create another function, find profile, and this is going to receive a id which is going to be of type string, and here we will say const profiles get profiles. So we'll get all the profiles which are there in the local storage, and we'll find the one which is associated with the currently logged in user. Okay, so we will check here, return if there is an id, Then we will say profiles dot get the profile with the ID that we're passing, and if it doesn't give us anything, we'll return null, right? And if there is no ID, in that case also we will return null. Okay, and let's create another type over here known as stored profiles. All right, so the type stored profiles is a map which is having a key which is string, and the value is profiles context type. Okay, and that is what we will get over here as profile as stored profiles. Okay, all right. Then the next thing that we will do is we will check over here. So we will use the we will check if there is a user, and we will use the use auth hook for that, and we'll create a effect. We will check if, wait, we'll come back to this in just a second. Let's write the logic first. So what this is going to do is this is going to return the profile context dot provider, all right, and we will also be returning the dispatch context dot provider, and this will contain the children that we are getting. And for the values, what we will do is we will use a reducer. So profiles, um, let's just call it as state, and let's call the other variable as dispatch, and we'll use a reducer. So we'll use the use reducer hook, and we'll pass a reducer function. So function profiles reducer, this is what we'll pass over here, profiles reducer, and we will also pass the initial value. So the initial value will be that that the value that we will get from the local storage. So we will say user profiles equals find profile, and we'll give the email of the user. We'll use that as the key. Okay, and let's just say as string. All right, and this is what is going to be the initial state for this. Okay, and so what we will do here is that this is going to get a state and an action. Let's create types for that as well. Let's do one thing. Let's move all of this in a separate file. So let's create a reducer over here. Let's create a folder reducer, and let's call it as profiles reducer.ts, and we'll say export default. All right, and let's specify the types over here. So this is going to be of the profiles context type. So let's move that type that we have created inside the comment types, and let's also create another type known as action type. So this is going to have basically the following types: edit, delete, and add, and also the current for setting the current profile. And then it will receive a payload which is going to be a partial of user profile, and we will have another specific case over here which is going to be called load, and the payload we'll set as any in this case. All right, and so let's come back here, let's get rid of this. So this we are getting from here, and the state is going to be of the profile context type, and the action is going to be of the action type. Okay, so let's create a variable type comma action, and we are getting that from the action basically, sorry, payload type and the payload that we're getting from the action, and we'll write a switch case over here. We'll check what is the type, and based on that we will have different use cases. So when the type is add, right, we want to create a new profile. So we will say over here const new profile equals, so this is going to be of the user profile type, and we will say we'll generate a random ID. So we'll use the crypto module and we'll use the random UUID function. Okay, then this is going to have a name, so we'll get that from the payload. So payload dot name, whatever is the name, we'll assign that, and similarly this will have a image URL, so that also we will accept from the payload. All right, then what we want to do is we want to create updated, so whatever is the updated profiles, right, we want to create that, we want to create a new copy of that using the existing one. So what we will do is we will spread the existing state dot profiles. What happened? And this is also going to return the state. Okay. So we'll say state dot profiles. Whatever the existing profiles, we will go through those. We will check if it exists or not. If it doesn't exist, we will return an empty array, and then we'll also add the new profile, right? So these are the updated profiles. And then from this, we'll create the updated state. So that is equal to the profile profiles context type, and we will say the profiles are nothing but the updated profiles, and loaded, sorry, current okay. So the other property selected profile ID is state, whatever was the existing state, it's selected profile ID, and we will return the updated state for this case. Then the next case is for editing the existing profile. So here what we will do is we will find the existing profile. So we will do state dot profiles dot find index where profile and profile dot id equals payload dot id. And here also we want to ensure that there are profiles available, and if we do not get anything, we'll just return -1, and we will check if index is greater than -1 and the state exists. In that case, you will create updated state, a new variable which is going to be a copy of the existing state, right? And then we will say updated state dot profiles dot splice. Whatever was the index that we got, we want to replace that with the updated uh, value, right? So we will say updated state at the index dot no wait, updated state dot profiles for the index that we found. And so we'll spread through all the existing properties, and the only thing that we'll be editing is the name, right? So we will say payload dot name as string. Okay. And then we will return the updated state. The next case is for deleting a profile. And here we will say that if state exists, let updated state equals whatever was the existing state. We'll create a copy of that, and we'll say updated state dot profiles dot equals updated state dot profiles dot filter, and we will go through all the profile where profile dot id not equal to payload dot id. Okay, and then we will return the updated state. And we have another case for setting the current profile. So here also we will check if the state exists. In that case, we will get the updated state. So let updated state equals dot 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 whatever was the existing state. We'll spread that, and we will say that the selected, so this is of the profile context type, and selected profile id is from the payload uh, whatever is the id coming from the payload, and we will say return updated state. And there will be another case for loading all the profiles. So in that case, we will just return the whatever is the payload, we will return that as it is. Let's import this. Okay. And here we will say that the value for this context is nothing but the state that we're getting, and the value for this is nothing but the dispatch function. Is not okay. So this is going to be of react.dispatch action type. This can be either this or it can be null. All right, and then over here, whenever the user's email address is changing, right? What we want to do is we want to check if user the email address exists. Then we will check if the state is there. In that case, we want to sync whatever changes we are making to the state with the local storage. So we will say const. So we'll get all the existing stored profiles from get profiles, and we'll say stored profiles dot set whatever is the current user's email that we'll use as the key, and we'll set the whatever is the current state as all the profiles associated with that user, and then we will update all the stored profiles. So let's create a function for that as well. Function update profiles, and this will get the profiles which are nothing but these stored profiles, and we will say local storage dot set item storage key, local storage key, and the value is going to be json dot stringify And since we cannot directly stringify a map object, what we will do is we will convert that into an array. So we'll say array.from, and we'll give it the profiles that we are getting. All right. So this is what we'll use for updating it. And we will call this function here, and whatever changes that we made to the state object, uh, whatever changes we made to the profiles, right? We want to update, we want that update to reflect in the local storage as well. So we will call this with the stored profiles. Not assignable to type string. What? Give me a sec. Let me just cross check. What is this? All right, so this is going to give us the stored profiles. And what is this saying? Mm, okay, give me a second. All right, so we're using that to update it. And if so, this is for updating the local storage. And in case there is nothing in the what do you say, if there is no state available, right? In that case, we want to load the state uh, with the profile that we have available. So we'll say type as, we'll dispatch a new action, call it as load, and we'll send the payload as the uh, user profiles that we are getting from the local storage. So this is for populating the profiles from the local storage, and once we are making changes to the state, this is for syncing those changes from the state object to the local storage. So this is what we have done so far. All right, and let's do one thing. Let's provide all of this over here. So profiles provider. Okay, and let's go to this view now, the profiles component. So right now we are showing these hard-coded cards, right? We'll show them using the profiles that we are getting from the context. So const user profiles equals use. Let's do one thing. Let's create a hook for getting all of these. So let's create a const use profiles context, and this is basically going to return use context, and we will expose the profile context using this, and similarly use profiles dispatch context, and this is going to give us the profiles dispatch context. Let's export both of these custom hooks, and here we will say that use profile context. Let's get one for dispatch as well. Use profiles dispatch context, and let's create a state variable over here, profile, and set profile use state, and this is of the user profile. So whatever profile we are working on, we will use this to keep track of that. All right. Then the next thing that we want to do is we were showing these hard coded cards, right? So instead of doing that, what we will do is we will check whatever are the user profiles. Uh, we'll go through the profiles, and we will use the map function. We get a profile, and this is going to return the profile card. All right, so let's get rid of this. So right now no profiles are available. Let me just clear my local storage as I was already playing around with this. So let's clear this. Okay. All right, and so this is what we will use, and then let's start working on the add profile functionality. But before we do that, we had some hard-coded values over here, right? So let's get rid of those. So now what we will do is this is going to get a profile object, which is going to be of the, let's specify a type for this. Profile is going to be of the user profile type. And here, instead of showing this, we will say profile dot. Actually, let's take all of this. Let's destructure the profile object. So we should get ID, image URL, and a name. And here we will say this is going to be the image URL. Otherwise, we will just display the name as it is. And here also we will be displaying the name, and the ID for this is going to be the ID that we are getting. Okay, so this is done, and then when we click on edit, right, what we want to do is this should get the profile that we have clicked on. All right. And we also want a click for for whenever we are selecting a profile, right? So we will have another function over here on profile click. This is also going to get the profile object, and it is also going to return nothing. So let's create a function for this. Uh, Here we will say that you should call the on profile click. We need to make this property available as well on profile click. All right, and here we will pass it the profile. Um, Thanks for the feedback, Max. I'm glad that you're liking the projects that we're working on. And that was the idea, that uh, we share as much knowledge as possible, and we build real world projects so that you guys have a good portfolio and have the knowledge to uh, land a job. All right. Okay. What's the other thing that we want to do? Okay. Yeah. So the other thing that we want to do is for this, we want to create a separate function, edit click. This will receive the event object, which is nothing but react dot synthetic event, and we will say event dot prevent default, not prevent default, stop propagation. And the reason we are doing this, because when we are clicking on this, right, since this is the parent, this will also trigger the on profile click, and we do not want that. When we are clicking on edit, only the edit part should work. That is why we are saying stop propagation, so that we are preventing this event from bubbling up. And when that happens, we will basically call the on edit click, and here we'll say edit click. All right, so these are the changes for the profile card, and we will say profile equals profile. So it's going to be this object basically, as user profile. All right, and we also need to pass all of those functions. So let's provide those functions over here. So function on profile click. So we will say on profile click equals on profile click. And similarly, so here what we will do is we will dispatch an action for this, and the type is going to be current, and the payload is going to be the profile that we are going to get when this function is called, right? It's going to be the profile that we're getting from here. And here we'll say react dot dispatch of action type. So we are just ensuring that this is not null. All right. And we also, when once the user has selected a profile, right, we want to navigate to uh, the browse page. So let's also include the use navigate hook. So navigate equals use navigate. Oh wait, I've already declared that. So we will just, once this action has been dispatched, we will say navigate, and we want to go to browse. Okay. All right. And now let's make some changes to the add profile page. So here what we will do is, this is basically going to get a prop on add profile, and its type is also going to be on add profile, which is basically going to do nothing. Okay, and then when we click on this, let's create a function over here. On add profile. So what we will do is we'll create a new profile instance in this case, and we'll set some default values. So we'll set the ID as empty, and we'll set the name as blank as well. And for the image URL, let's do one thing. Let's add a couple of images over here. So we'll go to public, and we will just rename this one, and let's call this as profile1.png. And I had downloaded some other images as well, so you guys can also download them from the net, any images that you like. So we have profile 1, 2 and 3. All right, and we'll write the logic over here such that based on whatever profiles that we already have, we'll pick a new image for the next profile. So we will say this is going to be profile dash. We'll create one of these. We'll select one of these images over here based on how many images are already available. So we will say uh, if we have user profiles, wait a sec, what were we calling this? Hang on, this needs to be defined here. Okay, user profiles, and if there are profiles, and if the length is there, we take that. Otherwise, if there are no existing profiles, we'll set the length as 0. All right, and whatever is the result of this, we'll add 1 to this, and we will say dot png. So this will select one of the images that we have, and then we will say set profile to the new profile that we have created, and we will call the open editor function. And for the add profile, on add profile, we will call this function on add profile, right? Okay. Is there any error over here? All right, so we will say, okay. So right now we do not have any profiles. Let's click on this. Okay, one more thing we need to do here. Right now, this edit profile dialog is only being shown in the edit mode. What we will do is we will take this outside and add it here, and we will check whether there is any profile available. If it is, only in that case we will show it, otherwise we will show null. So you can see it is showing us this. Let's make some changes to edit profile also. So what we will do is this will receive a profile object which is of user profile type, and here we will check if there is a profile and the profile has a ID. In that case we show edit profile, otherwise we show the text as add profile. And here instead of showing this we will show uh, profile shops.profile.image URL. What is it saying? Okay, so we need to pass the profile here as well. Okay, and let's make some changes here as well. So the default value for the input is going to be props.profile.name, and let's give this a name as well. So profile name, and let's give it an ID which is the same, and we'll do one more thing. We'll change this section. We'll convert this to a form. All right, and we'll write a on submit here, and we will say on submit. We will wire this up with the on submit here, and this is going to receive an event which is react dot form event, and basically we will get the profile name, and its type is going to be event dot target as type of event dot target, whatever its type, and we will say that this will have the profile name property, and its type is nothing but the HTML input element, and We also want to say event.prevent default so that the page is not refreshed. And we will check we will do is we will need another prop over here on save, and this is going to get the updated profile, basically user profile. All right, if there is a on save, props dot on save, let's make this an optional method. Then we will create a new profile object. Name profile name dot value. ID is whatever the existing props dot profile dot ID, and the image URL is also whatever were the props coming from the profile, sorry, whatever the value of the profile coming from the props, its image URL. And then we will say props dot on save, and we will pass it the profile that we created. And let's create a function over here. Function on save profile. This will get the profile. User profile is the type of this object, and we will create an action. You're welcome, Ganesh. Thanks for the feedback. I'm glad that it's helping you. The classes are helping you. All right. Let's come back to this code, and we'll say action type equals. We will check if the profile has a ID, right? In that case, we'll call it as the edit action. Otherwise, we'll call it as the add action, and we will pass the payload. Payload is nothing but the profile that we are receiving, and we will say dispatch action, and we will wire this up with this function on save equals on profile on save profile. And another thing that we will have to do is we have these two buttons, right? Now since this is inside the form, we need to define the type for this. So type for this is submit. It's giving us some error. Let's handle this. So here we need to say React HTML button attributes. React dot, sorry, react dot button HTML attributes. Okay, and here now we have the type, which is submit, and here we will say the type for this is button. All right, let's click on this. So now we are seeing this, right? We have the image over here. Let's do one thing. Let's go to the profile card and let's copy this styling that we have given over here. And let's give it to this one over here. All right. Or we can leave it as it is. There's no harm in having. And we have these two buttons, save and cancel. When we click on cancel, the profile this closes basically. So let's give a name over here, say Gaurav, and let's click on save. And nothing happened. Let's check. Okay, let's see, add profile. So we have the on save, which is defined here. And we should actually, once we have hit save, right, we should also uh, close the dialog. So we will say set is profile editor open to false. Okay, now it is showing us 3 of these. Let's see. Let's go to the local storage. Wait, what? Okay, let's check if we are logged in or not. Let's go to browse, login. And let's open the profiles context. And here let's check if we are logged in or not. So we had created this user last time. Okay. All right, so we are logged in now. And we did not find any user profiles. So right now there is no state available and there are no profiles available as well. Let's click on and let's give the name Gaurav. And we are logged in. And right now we have a state, right? We have all the we have this profile that we created. So it got a random ID. There's an image URL profile1.png and the name. So it should come over here basically. And now we are seeing this. Okay. And we also need to do one more thing here. Let's go to the profiles. Context, and here even if when there are changes to the state, right, in that case also we want this effect to run. Let's do a refresh. Let's add a new profile. Let's click on save. And it should have come over here. Let's check why it didn't. Hang on a sec. Let's go to the reducer that we wrote. Profiles, reducer. So we have the add new profile. Okay, whatever, some name. And we got the updated state here. Once this happened, it should go to the context. This state should get reloaded. What happened to the user email? Okay, 1 second. I think there is some, we need to make slight changes here. So, where was it? auth.tsx. Let's make some changes. Auth dot current user. This is the value that we will get. And here we will just call set user with the user that we are getting. And let's get rid of all of these set user statements, because auth state change will be automatically called, right? Whenever any changes are happening. All right, let's see. Right now it's null. And let's make another small change over here. We will create another state const loading, set loading, use state, and we will set this value to true. Use state. And the reason we are doing this is because by default, when we say auth.currentUser, this can either be null or the user object. But the problem is that Firebase fetches the user related information asynchronously. So uh, unless and until this event gets fired right on auth state change for the first time, we do not know whether null indicates whether the value has not been fetched yet or the user is logged out, because it is null in two cases. So the current user is null, uh, the first case is when uh, Firebase is still fetching the information. Okay, and this is an async operation. Okay, and the second use case is when the user is logged out. So in these scenarios, the user is null, and it only has a user object. Okay, when user is logged in that case we get a user. All right, so this only gets fired once the Firebase is done fetching the current user's information. So what we will do is, unless and until this event has been fired, right, we will say set loading to false only when this event gets fired. And when we are, and let's expose this loading object here, and let's go back to our app. And what we will do is, let's go inside the router. So const loading, we are getting this from use auth hook, and what we will do is we will check if is if loading, then we will show another element, otherwise we will show this. So we'll just show this section here for now, which will have the text loading dot dot dot. Let's give this a class, let's say grid, place items in the center, and let's give a height which is equal to the screen, and a width which is also equal to the screen. All right, and let's try this functionality now. Wait a sec, why is the user still null? Okay, let's go back to the login. Did we save all the changes? So you can see it is showing this loading text now. And here we will select this user, we'll say test 123, sign in. What happened? Sign in, wrong password. Okay. All right. And now we have the user information. Let's click on this enter. So this should give us the state, updated state. And wait, why is this null? Okay, just a minute. Let's do one thing. Let's get rid of this. And here let's use a loader. And here we will check if user is not there, we will return redirect to /login. All right. Let's try and go to the browse route. So it took us back to this. Let's try and log in, test 1, 2, 3. Let's go to auth.tsx. Sorry, app.tsx. All right. This is weird. Just give me a moment. Let's do one thing. Let's take a short break right now. If you guys have any questions, I'll answer those and then we'll just resume this part in the meantime. All right. So let me know in the chat if you have any questions so far. I have worked on Angular in the past, but in this bootcamp, we'll just be sticking to React. Why do you have that question? This will be the final project for the bootcamp. The next project is something that you will come up with on your own. After this project, we'll be learning unit testing, and let's see if there's more time, we'll try and learn something else as well. We'll be using React testing library, and we'll learn how to use Jest. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's start with this. Are there any more doubts? Otherwise, we'll continue working on this. Let's figure out what's the problem over here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll be here. Don't worry. You'll get you'll get more of me in the future as well. But as far as the front end boot camp is concerned, it will be ending by the end of this month. But I will be around, so don't worry. We'll be building more things in the future, and I'll be sharing my knowledge with you guys, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, what else? Let's try this approach. If the user is not logged in and loading, and it's not loading, then in that case we go to login. Otherwise, we show the children as it is. Mm, and then here we are showing this. Otherwise, we are showing the router. Let's see what's the default value that we are getting. Let's go to the app. Right now, loading is true, so it should show us the text loading, as we can see over here. Now it's false, so it should give us the routes. Okay, let's try and go to slash. Loading is once again true. That's fine. Let's add a breakpoint here. Now loading is false, but user is still null. All right, let's try and log in. Still getting the user as null. All right, something funny is going on. Let's check the auth.tsx here. This is not going to make any difference, but anyways, let's go to browse. Loading is true. And the user is also there. If loading and not user, let's try and go to browse. Let's try and log in, test 1, 2, 3. We're getting the user as null. Okay, let's do one thing. I think we need to sign out once and then it should work properly. For that, let's come to the header, and inside the header, where did we have the profile menu? And let's do one thing. When we click on this, right? Let's create a function over here. Sign out of Netflix, and we will say const. Do we have the, let's get the sign out function from the use auth hook, and we will say sign out. Let's make this an async function. Let's wait for this. And once the user has signed out, we'll navigate. So for that also we need to use the use navigate hook. So const navigate equals use navigate. And here we will navigate back to the login screen. And when we click on this, we want to say sign out of Netflix. All right, let's go to the app.tsx. And for now, let's just comment out this piece of code. What is it saying? Netflix profile.png in profile menu. Okay. So we go to the profile menu. Let's make some. Where is the okay. Right now, let's set this to an empty string. Let's go to browse. And let's click on sign out of Netflix. Now let's try and log in. We are getting the user, and now we are in here. Let's click on add. Let me enter my name. This is the updated state. Let's go to the application, and you can see that now we have a value over here, right? So now it's getting this from the local storage. So this part is working. Let's add another profile, say John Doe. Let's click on save. This is the updated state. And we have these two profiles over here. Let's come back over here. And you can see we have these two entries in the local storage as well. Right, let's do a refresh. So we are still getting the user. All right, so this is looking good. Let's come back to the app. And let's increase the size of this text. 6XL. You can also show a loader image here. So let's do a refresh. Right, you can see this loading. Instead of this, you can show a spinner or something else. Now when we click on this, what is it saying? We have not found what. So let's go to the profiles component. Let's click on a particular card. On profile, click dispatch and browse. Oh, I misspelled this. This should be known called as browse. And now it's taking us to the browse page. Let's go back here to this view. And when we click on one of these, it should take us there. And now let's use the profiles that we have. We'll display them here. Okay. Let's come to the profile menu component. All right. Um, so let's get all the user profiles. So const user profiles equals use profiles context, then const. We also want to get the current profile. So user profile dot profiles dot find profile, where profile dot id equals user profile dot selected profile id, and so this is looking good. Then the next thing that we want to do is, instead of showing the hard-coded values, we will show the currently logged in users information, right? So here what we will do is, instead of this, we will show the current profile dot image URL. So you can see that we were logged in with John, right? So John's image was this one, and we'll show the other users which are available over here. So this one we had reserved for the username, right? So what we will do is we will map through all the user profiles, whatever profiles which are available, we will filter them, and we will basically find the profile which profile whose ID is not equal to the current profile, and we'll map over this. We'll loop over this, and here let's get rid of this. So we'll get a profile over here, and we will return a li. All right, and here we will display the profile dot name. All right, so you can see these are the other profiles which are available. And let's also display, let's do one thing. Let's show image over here. The source is nothing but the profile dot image URL. Alternate for this is the file dot name, and the key is going to be profile dot id. Okay, let's style this. So we'll use flex, and then we will say cursor pointer. We will justify the items in the center. Let's give a gap of 2. And whenever we hover on this, we want to underline the text. And let's give this a class as well. Let's give it a height of 8 and a width of 8, right? And the other thing that we want to do is, let's copy this styling. And here we will check if user profiles are there and the length is uh, greater than 1. In that case, we show these classes, otherwise we leave this as blank. Wait a minute, what am I missing? All right, so we have this border now coming up, and we also are showing this. Let's change this as well. Whenever we hover on this, we want the underlined text showing up, and the cursor needs to be pointer. And let's also turn this into a link. Manage profiles. To /manage profiles, and we're getting this from React Router DOM. And for this also we want to say um, class cursor pointer. Hang on a sec, why isn't this getting okay? Not cursor pointer, we want to say uh, underline, but only when we are hovering on this. All right. I'll answer your question right after this session, okay? About the select transfer. And then what we want to do is when we click on this, we want to change the profile to this one. So where is it? Okay. On click, we want to create another function over here. Function load profile, and this will get a profile object which is of user profile type, and we will say dispatch. So for that we need that hook which allows us to dispatch an event. So where is it? Const dispatch use profiles dispatch, and we'll say dispatch. The type is current, and the profile, sorry, the payload is nothing but the profile. And we want to basically on click we will call the load profile function, and this should be called with the profile that we have selected. Now when I click on this, you can see that it has changed the profile, right? All right, so the profile has is a different profile is showing up. Okay, there seems to be some error over here. Okay, now we have come to the manage profiles page. Let's see if the edit functionality is working. So it's not. Let's make the changes for that. So let's come to the profiles component and let's see, where is it? Yeah, on edit click. So we have another function over here. Function edit profile. This will get called with the profile that we want to edit, which is nothing but the user profile. And we will say set profile, the profile that we want to edit. And we will call the open editor function. And on edit click, we will say on edit profile. Let's just check everything here on edit click. Right, let's see. So we want to edit this and you can see the name is showing up here. Let's click on cancel. Let's update this to then let's save this. Now you can see that the profile has been updated. Just to make sure that it's working properly, let's come over here and you can see that the update has been made in the local storage also. All right. Now let me try and make some changes here, but now I click on cancel, so the changes are not reflecting. And when we click on done, we want this manage profile. We want to go out of the manage profiles page. So let's find the text done. All right, and here on click, and here we will say navigate to this page, and also let's add some margin top of 8 over here. So there is some space between these and this button. When we click on done, it should take us back to the profile page. And let's select a particular profile and then it should take us to browse and it is showing us all of this information. And when we click on manage profiles, it is taking us here. When we click on done, we are here. And we are also able to switch the user. Another thing that we want to do is when we are loading the profile, right? We want to reload the page. So command P, where is it? Profile menu. and we want to navigate back to the browse. Let's do one thing. Let's do a window dot location dot reload. All right, and when we click on this, okay, actually there's a hook for this. Const location equals use location, and here let's just do location dot. I think it doesn't allow us to do that, so let's just stick to what we had earlier. All right, let's try and sign out, and now let's try and go to the browse page. Okay, it still took us to the browse page. Let's see what's the problem here. App.tsx. Now let's go to the browse page. Okay, so this is working. And let's go to the login. Let's add a uh, outline none class here, and we also want that for the button outline none. Let's try and log in, sign in. Okay, so this flow is working. Let's select a particular user, so that user's profile has been loaded. Let's try and switch. So this is working as well, right? And let's see if the other functionalities are in place also. So this part is working, and let's do a refresh. And the sliding is also working, right? So some images are not loading. Let's do one thing. Let's go to the profile. What page was it? The browse. And let's go inside the content row. And here let's filter the result where result dot poster path. I think that is what we were using here. Let me just check once. Command F, create URL. So we're passing the poster paths, right? Yeah. So let's just get those movies which have a poster path. All right. So this part is working, the sliding logic and everything. So I guess we are done with most of the things that we wanted to achieve. And I'm hoping that you guys can work on the other views, which is like showing the TV shows and the movies, new and popular. The logic is similar to what we have on home page, right? And but the main things that we wanted to achieve, all of those have been done. We are, a movie. The preview is showing up, and we are able to log in, right? Suppose what I do is let's go to Firebase. Let's go inside the Netflix clone. Let's try and create another user. Let me open temp mail in another tab. Let's do one thing. Let's open this in a private tab actually. And let's try and create a new user. And you guys can just like how we created the sign in page, you can create a sign up page, right? You can add the link for the sign up over here. And let's see, where is it? Let's copy this. Let's paste this and let's set the password to test123. Let's add this user. Let's come over here. Test123. Sign in. Okay, we are still being shown the profiles. Okay, so we got the profiles, but not for the correct user. Let's come to the profiles context. And let's see what is going on over here. Get profiles. Let's do one thing. Let's add the delete profile functionality as well. We forgot to do that part. Let's come inside the profiles component, and we need another button over here. Profile button. The type is button. Okay, it's delete profile, and this shows up only when we have the profile uh, props dot profile dot id, right? When we have a profile id, because we can only delete an existing profile, otherwise we return null here. Okay, let's click on manage, let's click on edit, and now we have these buttons: save, delete, and cancel. And let's give this the button type secondary. All right, and now what we want to do is on delete, this will get the profile that we want to delete, and this is going to give us void user profile function on delete profile user profile, and we will dispatch action. The type is going to be delete, and payload is going to be the profile. And here we'll say on delete equals on delete profile. Okay, and the other thing that we want to do is, once we have deleted this, we want to say set is profile editor open to false. Let's do cancel, let's do a refresh. Let's try and delete this. So nothing changed. Did we bind this with this? No, we didn't. So here we need to say on click And it's also giving us some, okay, some issue with the key. So where is it? Profile card. So key here is going to be profile.id. Let's see if that warning is gone or not. Okay, it's gone. Let's say delete, and that profile has been removed. Let's come over here, application. So it only has one, and this one has two. That is fine. Let's try and remove this as well. So now there are no profiles. Let's say some user one, another user. Let's try and add another one. Test. All right, and let's say done. Let's select test. So test is showing up over here, some user and another user. So we are able to switch between all of them. All right, so this part is working as well. Let's sign out, and now let's see what is going on if we log in with the other user. So context, profile, context. Let's try and log in with this user now. So we got the profiles associated with this user now, Gaurav and Chondo. And if there's a user.email, which is this one, and if there is a state, in that case, we basically get all the existing profiles, and we'll say set for this user. We set this. Wait, what? We're getting a stale state over here. Basically, we got the state as the previous state, right? So what we want to do is whenever we are logging out, in that case, we need to clear the state as well. All right. So when we are saying uh, where is the view in the browse, not browse, sorry, the profile menu. Whenever we are saying sign out, We want to check. Let's do one thing here. We will not get the, hang on. Let's come back here only. Once we have signed out, we want to dispatch the action. Load. And we want to set the payload to null in this case. And then we want to go to login. All right, I'll just make a change over here. State equals user profiles. Ah, okay, no worries. What we will do is stored profiles dot set user dot email user profiles. All right. I guess we can do that here also, that whenever we are, let's go to the profile context. Okay. Let's set this to whatever is the value we're getting. Let's log in with this user now, test 123, and we are seeing the correct profiles. Let's come here. Let's try and sign out now. And let's log in with the other user that we had. This one, test 123. Let's sign in. and we're getting the correct profiles associated with each user now. And another thing we want to do is we want to restrict this to 3, right? Because now when we click on add, we are not getting this, right? So what we will do is when we go to the profiles component, and where is the add profile button? So we show the add profile button only when user profiles uh, dot profiles dot length is less than 3. Okay, till that we show this, otherwise we show nothing. So now you can see, since there are already 3 profiles available, we cannot add more. Let's select this one. Let's sign out now. Let's log in with this guy. What? Okay, there is still some issue. I'll figure it out and we'll solve it. We'll take a look at it in the next class. But you can see now this only has 2, so we are still seeing the add profile button. All right. So all of the basic functionality has been done. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. If you have any doubts, we'll move into the Discord session right now, and we'll address the doubts there. And have a happy weekend, and I'm looking forward to seeing the clones that you guys are going to create. Tag us in the clones which you're creating on your social media profiles. The information is available in the description of this video. So until then, take care, and I'll see you guys next time.